Why are new lawsuits being filed by people who spent decades publicly defending him, writing books about him, and appearing on Oprah for him? I want to talk about what is really happening to the Michael Jackson estate. This is complicated, and you deserve more than a hot take. I am going to show you something that will genuinely surprise you. One of the people suing Michael Jackson's estate right now, their family member wrote an entire book defending him, appeared on Oprah defending him, and the lawsuit itself explained why they changed their story. Before we go further, I want to say this clearly. Child sexual abuse is real. Delayed disclosure is real. Trauma does real things to memory and courage and voice. We have to hold that truth. And we also have to be willing to ask hard questions about a legal system that makes suing a dead man easier, cheaper, and safer than suing a live one. Both things can be true at the same time. Let us start at the beginning. Let's start with what we actually know, what was proven, what was investigated, and what the FBI, not Twitter, not some documentary, what the FBI actually found. Because a lot of what gets said about Michael Jackson online treats accusations and convictions the same, and they are not. For the last 2 decades of his life, under constant legal siege. Between 1992 and 2005, the FBI provided technical and investigative assistance to California law enforcement agencies investigating Jackson. They also investigated threats made against Jackson himself. In 1993, a 13-year-old boy named Jordan Chandler accused Michael Jackson of sexual abuse. Prosecutors presented evidence to 2 separate grand juries. Neither grand jury indicted. The criminal case went nowhere. Jackson did settle a civil lawsuit for $23 million, but that settlement included an explicit statement that it was not an admission of guilt. Jackson said publicly that he settled it to protect his career, but he later regretted it. Then in 2003, a documentary called Living with Michael Jackson aired. Jackson had allowed filmmaker Martin Bashir into his life for 8 months. In it, Jackson was seen holding hands with a 13-year-old cancer survivor named Gavin Arvizo and defending his practice of sharing his bedroom with children. The fallout was immediate. Santa Barbara District Attorney Tom Sneddon, who had tried and failed to bring Jackson to trial in 1993, reopened the investigation. By November 2003, Jackson was arrested. What followed was one of the most heavily covered criminal trials in American history. Gavin Arvizo and his brother testified. Prosecutors called witnesses. The defense called Macaulay Culkin, Chris Tucker, and others. Jackson pleaded not guilty and said he would never settle this time. On June 13th, 2005, Michael Jackson was acquitted on all counts. 4 years later, on June 25th, 2009, Michael Jackson died of acute propofol and benzodiazepine intoxication at his home in Los Angeles. He was 50. After his death, Martin Bashir, the journalist whose documentary had helped trigger the 2003 investigation, told ABC News that he never saw any wrongdoing on Michael Jackson's part. The FBI files released after Jackson's death noted that there were no outstanding leads and no credible evidence items. That is the criminal record. Investigated for over a decade, tried by a jury, acquitted. FBI found nothing actionable. Now here's where it gets complicated. Because while the criminal justice system says not guilty, the civil courts tell a different story, or at least they're being asked to. Here's the timeline after Jackson's death. 2013, Wade Robson reverses his testimony. Wade Robson is an Australian choreographer. In 2005, he was a defense witness at Jackson's criminal trial. He testified under oath that Jackson had never abused him. His testimony literally helped acquit Jackson. 4 years after Jackson's death, though, in 2013, Robson reversed his position entirely. He filed a lawsuit claiming Jackson had molested him repeatedly over 7 years when he was a child. I want you to hold that for a moment. He testified for the defense under oath in a criminal trial. Then, only after the man was dead, he said the opposite. 2014, James Safechuck files a similar lawsuit. James Safechuck has also spent time with Michael Jackson when he was a child. In 2014, he alleged that Jackson abused him as well. He had never made these claims publicly while Jackson was alive. In March 2019, a two-part documentary called Leaving Neverland aired, featuring both Robson and Safechuck describing abuse in explicit detail. The documentary won an Emmy. It reignited global conversations about Jackson's legacy. It also, and this is important, became the trigger for more lawsuits. In 2021, the Robson and Safechuck lawsuits were dismissed. Then an appeals court revived them. The estate has continued to fight. But in February of 2026, 4 siblings, Edward, Dominic, Marie Nicole, and Aldo Casio, filed a federal lawsuit alleging child sex trafficking and abuse, claiming Jackson drugged and assaulted them for over a decade. The Casio family are not strangers to defending Michael Jackson. Edward Casio wrote a 2011 book 2 years after Michael Jackson's death called My Friend Michael, An Ordinary Friendship with an Extraordinary Man. The book included family statements that, according to the estate's attorney Martin Singer, consistently and repeatedly asserted that Michael never harmed any of them or anyone else. In 2010, Edward, Frank, and Marie Nicole Casio appeared on Oprah Winfrey's show, and all agreed that Jackson had never harmed them. Their 2026 lawsuit explains this. It says Jackson's years of brainwashing prevented them from seeking help while he was alive and for years afterwards. It was not until Leaving Neverland aired in 2019 that the 4 siblings were, and I am quoting directly from the lawsuit here, deprogrammed and forced for the first time to become conscious of the reality that Jackson's abuse was wrong. The estate also notes that before the lawsuit was filed, Jackson's estate had offered the Casio family $690,000 as compensation. All right, y'all. That's one to grow on. See you next time. Peace.